Hands need to be invites or signals or gestures, and delivering a treat. It's not an empty gesture. It is get that treat into your hand, use your hand well, and allow the dog to come and take the treat. But how we offer that gesture to say, this is yours, well done, take it, as opposed to push it straight at the dog like it's a coin. It's something that they should want to take from you, not something that they should have pushed at them.
Welcome to Learning About Dogs, a podcast for people who love learning about dogs. I'm Sue McGuire, a DACO graduate and manager of a canine behavior program near San Francisco. And with me, of course, is Kay Laurence, author, educator, and operator of Learning About Dogs. We use them every day, and they provide a great deal of information in the conversations we have with our dogs. But how much attention do you pay to what your hands are doing? Have you taught your dog the difference between the hand from which they may receive earnings and a hand that might be part of a cue for a behavior? On this episode, Kay and I talk about the importance of being thoughtful about your hands. You're going to make me laugh because now I'm self-conscious about saying hands. Hands.
Yes, that's it. Yeah. Well, it comes out your mouth, not your nose, my dear. That's the difference. Yes, make sure it's just that's it. And you're in this business of, audible learning.
When we work with our hands, our appendages, one of the things that I remember way back in the way back days when I first met you is about how you talk about how our hands are talking all the time. And sometimes we confuse our learners by what our hands are doing. So when you're starting out, what is it do you want your dogs to learn about hands?
Well, your hands can't be doing nothing. Even if you put them in your pocket, that for a dog, that's significant because what's going to come out the pocket with the hand? And do you think the dogs notice what you're doing with your hands? If you feed your dog with a hand or from your hands, then every single movement that your hands do will be relevant to the dog and they will notice. So even if you are eating, they would notice how fast that food goes from plate to mouth. If you're eating, if you are eating off a plate, they will be looking for the hands that might not go to your mouth and might give them a treat. So they're watching our hands all the time. So hands serve more than one purpose. They serve to communicate a signal to a dog what you want it to do. I want you to go out the room ahead of me. I'd like you to go outside, and your hand points to where you'd like them to go. Or you'd like to come in, or your hand draws them across the front of you. I mean, some of the things we do with our hands had no sense at all. Like you want to get the dog to come towards you, so pat your leg. Why would that be a sign of wanting you to approach me? it's so illogical. When you see people doing formal healing and the dog is too wide, there's too much gap between you and the dog, so they slap their leg. Yeah, no, I don't think I want to go near that person. And if they don't respond, they slap their leg even harder. Yep, no, I'm even more going to stay away from that person. It was like, how could you possibly think that this was a way of communicating? So it's like if you want to give a child a cuddle, I tell you what, I'll give myself a good slap on the leg. You go, yeah, no, I don't think I want to go near you. And the opposite as well. If you want to give a child or a person a hug, open your arms. Now, to a dog, what could that mean?
Yeah.
I'll trap
Grab.
you. I'll catch
I'm
you.
going to grab you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So just because what we want to intend to communicate is not what's received by the learner, this is the whole art of communication. I'm not a hugger, and if somebody says, "Would you like a hug?" I expect them to stand still and give me the phrase, "Their hands are open," and wait to see how I respond before they approach. So at that point, I might go, "Very interesting. How do you do?" and shake their hand. But what I'm not going to do is be swarmed on by somebody who hasn't actually asked for that courtesy. And if you go to Italy, it's all the kissy, snuggy stuff. No, thank you very much.
You're such a Brit.
Yes, well, is it 2 or 3? Northern Europe's 3 and Southern Europe's 2, and I don't know what it is, but it's not me because it's not the culture I grew up in. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
one of my Gordon setters met a French lady, and she had her hands up in the air, blah, 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 she's going up and down like this, came streaming across the road to come and say hello to him. And of course, her arms up above her head, waving around because she was excited. What did he do? He jumped up.
Oh, whoop.
So she caught him by the collar under his ears and went, mwah, mwah, mwah. And he just sort of hung in midair and just never jumped up again that whole weekend. That was quite interesting. But yeah, so even just going to give a dog a kiss, approaching a dog with your mouth near their face, that could be so interpreted badly and cause great issues. So hands are the same thing. Hands need to be invites or signals or gestures, and delivering a treat. It's not an empty gesture. It is get that treat into your hand, use your hand well, and allow the dog to come and take the treat. But how we offer that gesture to say, this is yours, well done, take it, as opposed to push it straight at the dog like it's a coin. It's something that they should want to take from you, not something that they should have pushed at them.
Right.
And even, putting a treat on the floor, you can drop it like it's a piece of waste paper, or you can put it on the floor going, well done, this is yours. Would you like it? It
Uh,
changes tremendously just by the way you deliver a treat. That's hands, isn't it? That's hands moving different ways.
mhm.
And often some of the protocols where you've got a clutch full of food and you're trying to poke one off the end one at a time for the dog to take, it's sort of almost like it shuts your hands down to be able to express very well what's happening.
Yeah.
And the
You've
dogs are looking at all sorts of things like the momentum of a hand. If you're giving a signal, you can give the momentum slowly or you can give the momentum quite jerkily. That would come over to the dog, do it now, or if you'd like to have a go at this. So all that expression comes out of hands.
mm. But treat delivery is one particular area I know that we all try to focus on quite early on, even with puppies. This is what this hand looks like when you can take food from it. It's yours. You've earned it.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think one of the students that came to classes, she made a very good point about the word treat.
uh-huh.
So as a child, for you, what was a treat?
Hmm. A piece of candy or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not something you get again and again and again and again and again. When
Right.
was breakfast a treat as opposed to
Yeah.
just breakfast?
Yeah. Just
When
breakfast.
was a meal or somebody giving you a ride to school a treat? The treat is the exception, the above normal, the once in a while.
Mm.
I mean, if you're giving a dog 20 bits of food, they're not treats, they're earnings.
Yes.
So even we've inherited the click and treat, it should be click and reward. Yeah. And even
Yes.
then, the reward is thank you. It's just good manners. And it shouldn't be a treat to have good manners.
Mm.
So I wonder if we're actually getting ourselves unconsciously into trouble by just using the word treat. Now, you try and stop using the word treat and you'll be in major trouble because I'm still struggling months later to use the word reward or food as
Or
opposed to
food.
treat.
Yeah. Or
But I think it's a good,
reinforcer. Uh-huh.
yeah. Well, even that's questionable
If
because a
that's still true.
reinforcer is
Yeah.
not necessarily rewarding. It could be something
Ex-
removed from my environment that makes me repeat
mhm.
the behavior again, but it might not be a reward. So something that I would wish to approach.
If I'm giving a piece of food
Yes, you're
in
giving the
my
dog what it's
hey,
earned. Yes.
yes, a piece of food, what it has earned, uh, what should my hand I could put in episode notes. It doesn't allow me to put pictures, but we can probably link to something
Okay, so
on the episode. What should it look like?
again, as people that study behavior, so as children, we are learned to handle money. And if you're giving somebody money, you will give it with your fingertips, like you're giving somebody a tip. Yes.
Yes.
Or you are putting money on a counter. Um, but there's a difference between, do you remember, were you ever taught that if somebody's giving you change, they should hold out their hand for you to take the change off, not just put all the coins in their hand and dump it in your hand,
No,
so
was
that
not.
they could show you the exact change they were giving you? Do you remember that as a protocol?
No.
Oh, okay.
We put it
So
on the counter or something like that and push the coins
yeah,
toward
so if
yeah.
somebody's giving you mixed change, So they're giving you 89 cents in exchange, all coins.
Uh-huh.
It used to be the protocol over here that you would get the change out the till, put it in your palm of your hand so the person that was getting the change could see you had, and we're going to be in coin problems here, but you'd have maybe, five of these types of coins, three of those, and one of those. There's your
Right.
89, okay? And then you turn it upside down and give it to the person, but you could see what was coming before it was given. Now, if it's given just as a bunch, the recipient has to look at it to check it out. And that always feels a bit like, do I trust you? So somebody's giving me change. Do you actually hold it in the flat of your hand and file through it and check that it's the right money? We don't. We just tend to take it off them and put it somewhere. Or
Right.
just, and if it goes on the counter, then you've got even harder problems of picking the damn stuff up off the counter. So as people, we are learned to deliver coins with our fingertips. So you deliver it, and the recipient doesn't get much choice in taking it. I think with food to the dog, I would want to open my hand so the dog has the choice to take it, not the choice to have it delivered to them. And that's
Um,
probably the difference. Does a dog get to choose to take this reward, or does a dog have to receive the reward you choose to deliver or you want to deliver?
oh, and even that little fine point can tell
Yeah.
you so much.
Oh yes. Here, you will take it. You will take it. And we've seen this protocols where it's click and jam it in the side of the mouth. You will take the food.
Yes.
I'm
Mhm.
giving it to you, and you will enjoy it. And you're
Yeah.
not going to leave the table until your plate is clean because I've spent hours cooking it. Oh, that's not a reward, is it? So that tells you the dynamics that the person wants you to have this, and you will have it,
Oh,
as
yes.
opposed to you've just done something really cool. Here is the treat. Would you like it? Yes, please, says the
Yes.
dog. Help
Yes.
yourself.
Yes.
And that's again that gesture with the hand is this is yours. You can help yourself, or you can turn your nose up at it. It doesn't matter.
Mm,
Yes, yours is the choice.
mhm.
And
It's not a
the
treat,
choice is this big thing these days, but that is the choice about reward.
and
No,
that's
no, I don't
yeah.
don't want one of those. I think they're revolting.
Mhm. And that's where
we,
you
we
better
had my
tell
father
what
had an American. Sorry,
no,
my
I was
father.
gonna say that's where it does come to really important to figure out what reinforcers are actually acting as reinforcers or rewards or earnings.
Yes,
I mean,
yes,
it
yes,
does.
yes. And often, if the dog is in the habit of just you take what I give you, you'd never know because you
No.
haven't got any space to see. I'd like that.
Mhm.
You have a name for them? My father must have had a colleague, and when we were kids, we used to get every Halloween these sweets that were like cones, tiny little cones with three colors in them, like orange, yellow, and white.
Yeah, they
Like a
were like
tiny,
little like a
they're
corn
called something.
kernel?
A bit like that, yes.
Yes.
And like a packet of three colors, three tier colors. And as kids, we thought these were like delightful. And I saw someone, I was on a trip to the States. I've never tasted anything quite so horrible in my life. So what was a reward once, now, ooh, no, thank you. No,
Yeah,
my
yeah,
choice. Yeah,
yeah,
my choice.
yeah.
And sometimes what is novelty is a reward, but then when it's familiar, it stops being a reward. This is not,
I
and
about
often,
It's so true. I was, doing a seminar probably about a month ago, and I had this woman at the seminar, and, oh my bless her heart, she cooked up a storm the night before to provide a wide variety of delicious earnings for her dog, and he was not interested in any of them,
oh
and I had
dear.
a packet of, what basically we called just bacon strips. I think they're just like from Gravy Train, some horrible, horrible product.
Uh-huh.
And it just happened to be in this dog training club where I was presenting, and we brought out that package, and I said, "We'll try this," and her dog loved it.
Yes,
She
yes,
was
yes,
quite insulted,
yes,
quite
yes, yes,
insulted.
yes. But that's it. It's what you should find. You should enjoy this meal I've just cooked for you. No, no, it's not mine. I'm not hungry, thanks. Oh, oh.
No, you
Then
will.
there's always that barrier between you and the dog, or you and the person you just cooked for.
Uh,
So yeah, and if delivery is done like, yeah, okay, there you go. All right, okay, have another one. Oh, go on, all right then. It's not even what is the content of that delivery. It's the way it's delivered may be the greater the greater value to the dog. So if we are probably we're probably the most salient human being in that dog's life. We control so much of what they do that if we go to the effort of walking over to the counter, opening up a pot, selecting a piece of chicken, walking back and going, "This is yours," that might be of higher value than the baked thing that the dog was probably sleeping all the way through when you baked all these things the day before and tossed it to the floor. Just tossing it to the floor could just make all that baking worthless.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it comes back to, how you do something is more important than what you're doing.
exactly.
How it's delivered is often more important than what it is. And I can often get some crummy piece of fluff ridden dirt in my pocket. And I assure you, most of the dogs want it. And it's been there for a month. And you don't want that. Oh, yes, I do. It's been in your pocket. All right, then, but I've only got the one. Well, then it's mine. Okay. Pick the tissues off it. There you go. Ooh, lovely.
You got a little bit of a mean streak in there, Poor little
Well,
dogs.
that's because somebody's pestering my pocket, and I'm going, "There's nothing in there." But yes, there is, she says. And I
Yes,
rummage around, and there's some nasty bit of something at the bottom. You don't want that.
I do, I do, I
Well, yes.
do.
But I think this is where the dogs build strategies because she's gone through all this effort of going, "There's something in that pocket, and I found it. I'll eat it come hell or high water when it comes out." Even if she
Well,
doesn't want it, the others saw her eat it.
yes, and they're going, "Wait, what? What? Is there
Yes.
more?"
Yes.
Yes.
I mean,
Have
we don't think of dogs as having strategies, but I've often seen one dog. I used to have two Cavaliers, the first two dogs I ever had, a dog and a bitch, and the bitch was the younger one. And if she wanted to sit next to me on the sofa, she'd run at the back door barking, get the boy off the sofa, he'd race over there to join her in, and she'd be back on the sofa next to me before it even turned round. And you're thinking, well, that's a strategy that works. No problem. So, yeah.
Speaking of strategies, I have this new little guy, Hank, who's like a
Uh,
Chihuahua something or other, and he will wait for my Labrador to lay on a bed for a good bit, and then he'll stand in front of her and bark at her so she'll move so he can sit and lay down where she
on
had
the
just
warm
warmed
spot.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Little
Yep.
bugger.
No problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the Gordons used to poke one of the other dogs so she'd move out the sunlight. So she could
Oh,
lie down on the sunlight. She'd stick there and poke her with her foot. Up she'd get, collie'd get up. That's better. I want to sit in the sun.
see, my son, yeah, they're so
They might
entertaining.
not play chess, but goodness me, they don't have some um, tactics to resort to when they want to get what they want.
Yes. So reeling back again, if I had a puppy brand new to me, how would I present a food earning to this puppy who, as we all know, has all that fabulous puppy energy and um,
Well, I probably wouldn't start with the first treat coming off my hands. I'd have a maybe. I would introduce treats after it's eaten the main meal.
mhm,
So it's not super, super hungry, let me at it. So if you look at this is where we need to look at where puppies are reared and how they're reared. Even from the minute they first take milk, they're in competition for that food. So they have a sibling lying parallel to them, probably one on either side, and they're fighting backwards and forwards to get milk as fast as possible because somebody else can knock you off that titty and you've lost it. So there's an urgency to eat now, or you won't eat anything at all, and that doesn't tend to go away unless it's a singleton. And even then, singletons have other issues about feeding because. Well, we don't want to go down the whole avenue of
yeah,
that.
no, let's not go down that
But
road.
then they start moving on to more adult foods. Um, I feed mine on raw, so I will give them a bit of raw beastie, and they will probably, with their baby teeth, just pull against the bone. They can't actually
Mhm.
eat bone, but they can actually strip the flesh off something that's big and bony. But again, it's a contented cooperative eating where they're working side by side with something else that's eating. So they're learning right from the beginning that food is a competitive value and they're always hungry. They should always be hungry because their growth rate is so fast that they can't. Overfed puppies have very little urgency about what they're doing, and if they're overfed, they'll often be sleeping most of the day anyway. They just can't function properly. So normal active puppies that are on a reasonable food regime will be hungry. So when there's a center food, compete for it. Get there first. Don't ask questions, just eat. Get it before somebody else does, because if you don't, somebody else will have that piece. So the average puppy will generally arrive with a strong grab it response to the center food. I
Yes.
wouldn't want that associated with my hands. So I would have them eat probably at least a half meal. And then once that first hunger's gone, then I would teach them how to take food off my hand. Even to the
Mm.
point where I might put one piece in my hand and just deliver that open hand into the bowl. So they see an open hand and food rolls off it into the bowl. Cool, I love open hands. Oh, look at that. So your food serves as a spoon. So you're ladling it from one place and putting it into a bowl. So hands are not something that's a competition to compete against before it's snatched away. But these voracious puppies that are coming at food in a hand, then the person's instinct is, oh my goodness, pull backwards. Well, that's
Exactly.
only going
Mhm.
to make that bite reflex even harder. So it's us that teaches puppies to bite fingers. There's no doubt about that. They wouldn't bite that hard on hands if the food is in the center of the hand and is plentiful. Don't worry about it. Here's another one. Wow, here's another one. Yes, as opposed to these complex clutches of hands where it's coming off the fingertips. Fingertips in a puppy's mouth are just asking to get bitten.
Yeah.
Just the right shape.
Yeah. I always call it an excuse to get cuticle transplant surgery.
Yes, yes.
Hmm.
When we're teaching people to do puppy class, do you have the plasters with you? So you can put some elastoplast around people's fingers because they're just getting bitten. No, no, no. Let's learn how to deliver a treat. And anybody nowadays that's doing puppy class, number one thing, how do we deliver food? I call it a treat
Hmm.
again. How do you
Yeah.
deliver treats? Food, not treats.
Food. Food.
Let's call it chicken. Let's call it lamb. Let's call it
Okay.
pork. Let's call it what it is, but let's not calling it a treat.
Yeah. So if we call it chicken, everybody's going to think they have to do chicken and chicken only. So
Yeah, but
food.
salmon today. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Pate. Oh, liver. Mm. Red
Oh God.
wine. Gorgeous.
Oh gosh. And we diverge. Okay. It's crab season here. Ooh, I don't know. Crab's probably too rich for dogs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, eating crab season.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm.
Yeah,
Too much work in my book, but that's okay.
somebody else wants to do all the doings. Yes, I don't mind. But same as fish, Oh, somebody else can do all the doings and just give me the fish cake. I'm quite happy.
Okay, so what should you be looking for? I love that idea of the hand is present, it's putting it in the bowl, maybe one from the hand in the bowl, and you should be looking for something from the puppy that looks like what? That they're starting to, oh, this
Well, it
is
depends what you want the puppy to learn. I mean, I always want a puppy to see an open hand as something to approach.
yes.
It frightens me when people do this open hand with a treat, but then shut the hand and draw it backwards to teach the
Oh.
puppy,
Yeah.
and all the other doodle doos that goes with it. If my dogs see an open hand, I would like them to approach it because I want them to trust an open hand. The open hand may well go under the chin to take hold of the collar in the future. This is what we teach at the same time. But any open hand is an invitation to approach. It shouldn't be a mixed message of, I may grab you, come towards me. Let me just slap my leg first, and then I'm going to open my hand. It should not be a, here I am teasing you with a treat. No, you can't have it until you do A, B, or C. No, if my hand's open, you trust it, what's on it is yours. No other questions asked. So they'll then take that treat and go, that was cool. I wonder if there's any more of that. And what they're going to be doing? They're going to be watching your hands.
Hands.
Oh, wow, you're watching this hand. This hand's going to fetch another one, which may come off the counter way above the dog's head. Oh, down it comes again. And that's yours as well. Wow, this is cool. Love this. Clever person.
Uh-huh. I think that that's what the point people are mixing up is that what is going to be the future of your hands?
Mm, mm. But that's something as a trainer, we always say, where's this behavior going?
Hmm.
What is going to be happening in 2 years' time when my dog sees the open palm of hand? We
Hmm.
had a mixed training session where dogs were taught to bump hands with their nose, just do the nose target to the hand.
Sure.
And at a later session, they also wanted the dog to do some gun dog training where the open hand meant move away from me, move left, move right. And I'm like, uh
Oh.
huh. Do you think there might be a bit of confusion on this? What do you mean?
Mhm.
Well, what does open hand mean here? And you can see the dog comes charging in, smack. And what does the open hand mean there? Oh yeah. so, so that hand that meant come towards me now meant stop, go away from me. Okay, bit of
Hmm.
confusion there. Yeah,
Mhm.
so yeah, think long term. Think long term and think, what do we necessarily want the dogs to learn from how people behave? The funny thing, that horrible sort of thing, when you meet a dog that doesn't know you, show it the back of your hand.
Right.
Why? Why?
So it
But what
can
was wrong with
just
the palm of my hand? It's like the palm of my hand shouldn't be something the dog's fearful of. Was it because a palm of hand meant stop and a back of hand? I don't know. I can't find the logic behind sniff the back of my hand. I've never trained a dog with the back of my hand unless you turn it into a punch. With me, it's just a weird thing that people will do. But do we have to teach dogs that people are weird at times? Oh, yeah.
it's I've never taught a dog with the back of my hand. What do you mean by that? Like,
Have you not,
you've never
when, if a stranger is approaching a dog and they don't
Oh,
know
yeah,
it,
in that respect.
yeah,
I
sniff the
was
back of my hand.
yeah, okay,
Why?
yeah. I
You know,
was thinking I thought
yeah.
you meant, have you ever shown, the back of your hand as a cue to follow it?
Well, it's still a back of a hand. No,
Yeah, no?
I can't think how that would work. No.
Mm,
And also, your hands are tools of affection, tools of grooming. They can do things for dogs that they can't do for themselves because of our prehensile thumb. So they can remove things that are stuck all over their coats. They can take stuff out of their ears. They can scritch them on the chest that they can't do for themselves. They can smooth down coat. They can do so many things for a dog that's pleasurable, but you do it with the palm of your hand. It's very rare that you'd actually stroke a dog with the back of your hand.
yeah.
So if I'm just even standing relaxed, I could tell you all of my dogs, given my empty hand as doing nothing, they'll come to the inside of it, not the outside of it.
Hmm.
Yes, they'll come to the palm with their muzzle, not the back of their hand.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
How h how do you, let's say using that example, you're just standing there, the dogs come to you to the inside of your hand. How do you say, "Not now, there's nothing in there?" Uh,
oh
I'm
no,
just
there's
trying to
always something. Even an empty hand has value because it
Oh,
can
see, I think
scritch,
that's
it can
important.
stroke, it can pat, it can tickle that bit. The interesting thing is if you're relaxed in the evening, the dogs are hanging around, and you're sitting on the sofa, and you dangle a hand, and
Mhm.
then one of the dogs will come up and they'll get it on the top of their head, and you don't move it, you let it just slide off, and then they'll get their head under it and they'll move themselves, and they'll have a bit of a wriggle so the hand is just on the right spot, and without being aware of it because you're watching the television, you start giving them a scritch. So it's
Oh.
like those sort of machines that the cows have out in the field they can scratch up against. You can choose exactly where to get the scratch. Yes, that's what hands are for.
Hmm.
So yeah, and if you've got the size of dogs that can reach your hand without, like poor Hank, how the hell does he get your hand given a scritch unless he jumps up?
I lay on the floor.
Having a dog that's at hand height where you don't have to bend to give it affection, I think is just lovely. Just lovely. The ones you've always got to just bend a bit for is extra effort.
Oh, it's no effort at all.
So next time you find yourself giving a fuss, wonder whether you initiated it or he initiated it.
Oh gosh.
If there's an empty
Yeah,
hand, that could do something for me. Don't let it be empty. It's like an empty glass. Let's put
yeah.
something in it.
I don't think we're ever gonna look at hands again the same way, hopefully.
Well, hands are tactile contact for dogs. It's not just language and signals. It's and using your hands. You say, "Oh, that person's got good hands." They can use their hands in such a way that the dog seeks tactile contact. So some people, you'd say that, "Oh, give the dog a fuss." And you'd look at the dog's face and you'd go, "Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that for you." And they're rolling this dog around like it's in a washing machine, and the poor
Oh.
dog is like, "Oh, okay, he likes to do this to me." And I said, "Let's have a little bit less Beethoven. Let's go down to a bit of Debussy. Let's just take it quietly, a bit of quiet stroking." And I said, "Try an exercise where you move the fur as if you're just rippling along the dog's coat, but you don't move their skin." Ooh, oh, okay. How do we do that? What does that look like? And
Yeah.
then see if you can actually rotate skin without moving the dog. So, we spend no, we don't spend enough time exploring how we can, sounds a bit odd, give the dogs pleasure just by touch. And that is another reward form that we're not looking at anything like enough. Anything like enough.
Oh,
And
I lo
what does it look like when it's pleasurable? I mean, everybody will be able to say, "Oh, he loves that." What does it look like? Describe it to
mhm.
me. Oh, well, if I stop, he asks for more. What does that look like? Oh, he'll turn
Yeah.
around and smack me around the face with his foot. Oh, okay, that's fair enough. Did he like it what you were doing, or did he like the spot you were doing it in? Would you like it harder? Would you like it softer? you
Oh,
know,
okay.
and all of these language, we've got a whole language with our hands on the dogs. And this then becomes part of your husbandry. So if Merrick's got trousers at the back that just pick up every bit of loose in the field. So it often has to be removed, and she doesn't like it. So we have her up on the grooming table, but one hand will be underneath, giving a nice little cutch on the bits that not got much hair on. And as I'm doing that with one hand, the other hand is doing the stuff she doesn't like, pulling those little bits of twigs off that just much hurt. It's like somebody pulling the hairs just above the back of your
Mhm.
neckline, that
Yeah.
one that gets stuck in jewelry and makes you
Yeah.
jump. When
Mhm.
you've got a necklace on and one hair gets rolled in a label on your coat. So she doesn't like it, but it's okay because the other hand's doing nice stuff. So it's not a question about getting permission to do that. It's my hand that is not doing the work, my hand that's doing the touch would start to feel if she's getting a bit too tense or this is getting too uncomfortable. So your spare hand that's not doing the grooming should be always in touch with the dog to feel whether they're comfortable with what you're doing or whether they'd rather you finished.
Hmm. Interesting you say that because just in the last couple of months, well, first of all, I went to Wolf Park last year,
Oh,
and they have a very distinct protocol about touching the wolves. Of course, I didn't. I did not go into the habitat. I have a thing against that. But I one of the protocols is touch 3 seconds, stop.
yeah.
Touch 3 seconds, stop. And if the wolf wants to re-engage, they'll move into your hand.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I thought, okay, I've heard that protocol for years and years and years and years. And then just most recently, they have this program in sheltering in the United States called Fear Free Handling.
Hmm.
And it's a way for shelter workers to start basically listening to the animals in their care. And one of their protocols is that once you place a hand, you keep it there softly
Okay.
so that the animal has that constant contact of knowing where your hands are because in their situation, they're worrying about where your hands are.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought,
Yeah.
oh, that was
Yeah.
a
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
really nice use
Yeah.
of two
Yeah.
different protocols
Yeah.
appropriately.
Yeah. And also, I mean, hands, if we didn't wear clothing and somebody put a hand near your shoulder, now if you're outdoors and you're open to the elements, your skin would always be able to tell where the wind was moving, where the air's moving from. So the dog's long hairs, those hairs that are just slightly prouder than the rest of them, are telling them which direction the air is moving in all the time. Now, if they're standing near you, they don't have to touch you or have your hand on them to know that your hand's there because there's like an air shadow. And
Yeah.
we can talk about this, but I often use it in class where I tend to have quite warm hands anyway. But I'll have somebody close their eyes and I'll put my hand about 3 or 4 inches away from their head on one side and give them 60 seconds. They'll be able to tell whether it's on the left or the right because the air stops moving on that side. So I think the dogs are sensitive to this right from the beginning. They know that's what their hair is for, that they can sense movement around their body and they can sense a shadow where the person is standing so there's no air moving there. Well, they can do the same with the hand. So having a hand nearby, that is a good way of knowing those hands are there because I can feel them around me. I like that one of the yes, just a contact where the dog knows that you're not doing something suspicious with your
Yes.
hands when it's behind their head. I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And things like, I mean, doing work on a dog's foot. I always wait. I like the dog to be able to relax their leg in my hand.
Oh.
So I will, go through the whole rocal. I'm going to pick your foot up. Here's your foot. Your foot's in my hand. Is it quite relaxed? So good. Now I'll put it down. What I won't do is then wait for them to tense before I stop doing what I'm doing. I want them to be able to trust that wherever my hands are on their body is pleasure for them, not something to be fearful of.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Which is
so
which is,
much.
is the right of every dog that lives with people. They should never be fearful of hands, should they?
No. No.
My dogs are
Not at all.
fearful of hot flushes. I had to explain to somebody this morning that if I'm having a hot flush, I say to the dogs, "Grumpy's coming," and you can see them all. Oh, okay, we'll move. We'll move. She's having a hot flush. Get out the way. Get out the way. You might understand. Most people won't, but I'm going to have a hot flush. You need to move out the way right now. And if one dog's on your lap, bam, off it goes. Yes. Grumpy. Oh, okay. Clears the room very quickly.
Unless you have a chihuahua in the house. And then they just
Oh
move
no, they're
in.
still too hot. Once you're having a hot flush, anything on you, just get off now.
And off go my clothes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, and they seem
Bit
to
of an
go,
overshare.
okay, she's just on again. 5 minutes later, they're back on again. So there's no hard feelings. Just got to give them the warning. It's coming.
Yeah. They actually probably know they're coming before you do. So what the heck?
Probably do. Yes. If I saw
Yes.
them suddenly depart, I'm thinking, yeah, they might be able to sense it. Have a what's the
Hot flash alert
detection
dog.
Yes. Oh, we're bad.
Oh no. It's just that the dog would be busy all day long and all night
Start
long.
unzipping your clothing. Oh, she's gonna have a hot flush. I'll just take her jacket off.
I'll just carry it over here.
Yes,
It
or fleck the
doesn't
fan.
matter.
Yes, I know. They'll go and get the fan for me. That would be it.
Oh gosh. Okay, that
I
dived.
remember that now. In 10 years' time, I'm going to be accompanied by my yes, menopausal dog.
The next time you watch a dog training video, pay close attention to the trainer's hand when they deliver the earnings to the dog. Assess whether the dog is truly enjoying the experience. For more information and links to articles and courses, be sure to look at our episode notes. Please tell a friend, fellow trainer, dog person, to take a listen to the podcast and give us a rating on Apple iTunes or your favorite podcast platform. Thanks for listening.